Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Rajin Ramdeholl, and we've got another great video for you today. We've got a special Realtor Spotlight. I have a really great friend that is really breaking ground in the real estate market, closing a ton of deals, having some great knowledge, some great information. I have the pleasure of having on a Realtor Spotlight, Katherine Azeez, otherwise known as Closings with Kat. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for having me, Rajin.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Well, are you looking forward to this? All right.
Absolutely.
I know you're ready for it, right?
Yes.
So,
let's get into it.
All right, let's talk about it. So, first of all, for everyone that's going to be looking at this, let's take a couple minutes, talk about yourself, intro yourself, let them know who you are, how long you've been doing this, where you cover, all that good stuff.
Perfect. So, guys, my name is Katherine Azeez, also known as Closing with Kat on Instagram. And on TikTok now, so feel free to follow me there too.
You got to definitely throw that out there, right?
Of course, you always.
I see you're trending on TikTok, so that's great.
I have been doing real estate for the past 5 years now, full time. I pretty much cover everywhere as long as I'm licensed there. So the 5 boroughs plus Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk County. Mm-hmm. I always say if you're serious, I'm serious. So wherever you want to go, I'm willing to go there as long as we're willing to be realistic about the expectations of things.
Absolutely. And I like that what you just said, if you're real, and you're serious, mm-hmm. I'm serious, right? Now let's talk a little bit about that, right? Because in this market right now, how do you see buyers? Like, do you see that there's still realistic and real buyers that are out there, or are you seeing that there are unrealistic buyers that are out there? Because I know obviously we're coming off of like a really high in real estate over the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of buyers right now have fear, are scared, not sure what to do. So are you still seeing like there's still serious buyers, or are you feeling like people are kind of like testing the waters, maybe still seeing what's out there, getting a little feedback from you, and then making a decision?
I feel like I've been doing a lot of consultation calls recently, to be honest. Yeah, it's slowed down a little bit, of course. People were hesitant because they didn't really, they didn't know where interest rates were going. Mm-hmm. But I feel like now people are adjusting to the point where it's like, okay, I understand this is kind of like the norm at the moment. Mm-hmm. I still have to make a move because at the end of the day, people have to sell, people have to buy due to, whatever their circumstances are. Mm-hmm. So yeah, recently I feel like I've been getting a lot more consultation calls, maybe not necessarily to purchase like right now, mm-hmm. but definitely within the next like 3-4 months, they're looking to get the ball rolling with it.
Do you think you're getting a lot of questions about like with interest rate? Like, mm-hmm. is that like still like a major topic or a major concern mm-hmm. of a lot of the buyers that you're dealing with? Or are they looking at, hey, am I going to be able now? Is the market soft? Am I going to be able to get a good deal? And so should I buy now? Or are they still kind of like sitting on the sidelines waiting?
I think that the interest rates are always going to be a topic, but I feel like people are also understanding that there are opportunities out there. So yes, interest rates are high, but at the same time, there's also so much opportunity now because that buying pool, it's being reduced. So people can, they're getting away with seller's concessions now. There's options to buy down the rate.
Yes.
You can do a 7, 10, 15-year ARM. So there's other options, and I feel like the competition is so much it's less now mm-hmm. than it was, in the beginning of the year.
Now, do you think like education is really key right now with buyers and like
100%.
Having to really educate them and show them, hey, listen, this is why you shouldn't wait. This is why, okay, even if your interest rate is here, these are all the other things that can be done. Like you just said, 2-1 buy downs, ARMs, educating them about where rates are going to go, where the market is going. Like, so you find yourself like having to now educate people more?
Yes. I feel like education is like one of the biggest things. Even from when I first started, obviously, there's a learning curve for everything, but at a certain point, starting with the buyer's consultation call, mm-hmm. I'm like very big on having somebody understand the process from A to Z mm-hmm. and having them understand like what kind of options are out there for them, especially in different types of markets. So I feel like, yeah, absolutely. Like,
how do you get them to trust what you're saying? Because I think that's also really important, right? Because mm-hmm. like they have family members, they have social media, right? They have mm-hmm. all these things now where they're getting all this information. I personally believe like a ton of it is just wrong information, but like how do you find like you're able to now turn that over and get them to trust what you're saying and how you're educating them?
That's a great question. So most of my business comes from my social media, and I feel like I'm always posting content about real estate.
Yeah.
And a lot of if it's not coming from social media, it's referrals from clients that probably did come from social media. So most of the people that I do work with, it's like I have people that already kind of vouch for me, like Kat guided me through the process. So like just, trust her, put your faith in her because she's gonna get it done, and just listen to what she has to say. But I mean, let's say it's somebody brand new that maybe I don't know them, maybe they called me from Google or something like that.
Yeah.
It's really just understanding what that person wants, and I feel like when you listen to people and understand what their situation is and what they want to move forward with, being able to help them as much as you can, I feel like that helps them understand that, okay, you're in this for the long run, whether we get something now or we get something in like 6 months to a year.
And I think that's actually really key, right? Because do you feel, and obviously I want to really get into this, right? Because we know that there are a lot of agents that are exiting the market. There are a lot of agents that, are having a difficult time. And so do you feel like sometimes a lot of the agents are looking for like the instant gratification of getting a deal, and so if they know that client isn't qualified right there and then, they're just kind of like letting them go to the wayside, whereas with someone like you, you're looking at it from more of a long-term perspective, right? Exactly,
100%. I feel like, yes, of course, there's going to be some agents, and you hear about it all the time, that are very short-sighted. It's kind of like, they want to get a client, they want to show them a house, they're show them like 3 houses, and it's like, choose one.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, for those types of people, for those types of agents, that's not really going to get you far. That's not really what you should be doing as an agent. I feel like for me, reputation's huge.
So you know where you're going with that, right? Like, yes, some agents, they just want to work with clients right there, right then, that are hot, and they let the other ones kind of go by the wayside. How do you work with those clients? Right? Like, and then you were going about like, some agents want instant gratification, but I'm looking on long term. Like, some people might not be ready to buy 1 month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, but I'm still willing to work with them because I understand that everybody needs somebody to work with, right? So you kind of have your thought process there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Kat, obviously some agents, they're looking at, they want to work with clients that have that instant gratification. The client's ready to go, they're hot, and if they're not, they kind of just put them to the wayside. So like, how do you feel about that in those kind of clients? Because you talked about the fact that, you're willing to work with clients that are looking at long-term goals, right? So how do you work with those clients?
I think honestly, it's unfortunate when an agent kind of looks at things short-sighted, where it's like, okay, if this person isn't fitting what I'm trying to accomplish right now with getting this listing sold, or working with this buyer, showing them a few houses and they don't want any of them, like, I'm gonna just I'll let that one slide and just move on to somebody that's more serious. My take on it is really just, I think it's important to build relationships.
Absolutely.
Whether somebody wants to sell right in this moment, or a year from now, or a few months from now, or 2-3 years from now, I always tell people I'm still going to be in this industry. So it really doesn't matter if you want to go right now, or if you call me in 5-10 years.
Yeah.
And now is the time, Kat, that I want to sell my house.
Yeah.
I'm going to want to work with you. But it's all about building the relationships for those clients. Yeah.
And I like that, because obviously we've talked about this, and it's so important to build relationships and to understand that this business is just not transactional. I think that's probably why a lot of people are having difficulties right now, is because they only wanted to work with a certain type of client, like I said, that was just ready to go. And so now if you have clients that are on the sideline, where are the referrals coming? Where's the business coming, right? Because in a cool market, what really takes you through are your referrals. And you said you have a great network of people that were like, hey, Kat did this amazing job. She educated me. She walked me through the process. She held my hand. She got me the property I wanted. She, all of these things. And so what are they going to do? If they have a family member or a friend that's looking to buy or thinking about it, where are they going to go?
Exactly, 100%. And I'm super grateful for all of my clients that always support me, show me love, and send referrals, because that's the best gift, honestly.
So I think another great thing I would love to talk about is, how is someone like you right now still navigating this market for your clients and even for yourself? Because, as I said, a lot of agents are like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get deals. I don't know how to get clients. I don't know how to make transactions happen. But you still are. So how are you kind of separating yourself from those that are out there, and what are you doing that that you're still able to get deals?
Great question. I think one of the biggest things for me is providing value and education during the process. It's not just about, okay, I'm helping you find a house, so I'm gonna, open a few doors, show you the house, this is the one you want. Okay, I'm like actually guiding them through every single step. I'm giving them options. Okay, there's, if you wanted to go FHA, here's the options for that. Here's the options for conventional. Here's, if the interest rate might be too high for you and your comfortability, we have, different programs, different loan programs. I can connect you with my lender. I can connect you with Rajin, and he can walk you through what would be the best fit for you.
So I kind of like that, which is really something I think that's very important. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you actually take the time to really educate yourself even about loan options and loan programs. And so like you just said, you having that knowledge now and listening to your buyers are able to kind of make that connection and educate them and say, hey, if this is what you're looking to do, this is what's available for FHA, conventional, VAs, adjustable rate mortgages, 2-1 buy downs. So you have a wealth of knowledge, which I think personally is a great thing that not a lot of agents actually think about doing.
And not a lot of agents take the time to want to learn about these things. And I think it's huge to always be knowledgeable, especially in markets where it's shifting, or it goes from a seller's market to a buyer's market, or maybe the inventory is lower, so we have to transact differently versus a higher market, things like that. So education's huge. I feel like the more people know about what's happening during the process, it's going to make them feel comfortable to make easier decisions. And after all, it is the biggest purchase, of some people's lives. So
some people think, well, that's not my job. I'm not the lender. I don't need to know this, right? And obviously, you see, it helps ultimately bring deals together. I mean, it's not about making the lender's life easy. It's about you also understanding the needs of your clients.
And then if I know and I'm referring you, they're going to have more trust. They're going to be like, okay, Kat knows what she's talking about, so I'm sure she's going to only put me in the hands of somebody that even knows more than her.
Yes.
Because, that's your industry.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. Yeah. So again, I mean, with everything also happening in the market, a lot of people are looking at, well, do I focus on listings? Do I focus on buyers? Is there a preference that you have in terms of, the type of clients that you work with? Would you work with any client? I think that's also important for people to understand, right? Because there's some brokers and some agents that are like, I'm only a listing agent, all right? And then others that are like, I'm only a buyer's agent. So which are you?
I'm both.
Okay.
I always say I don't discriminate. I really will take, if somebody's serious about wanting to sell, I want to work with you. If somebody's serious about wanting to buy, I want to work with you. It really, you could be I work with co-op buyers, I work with condo buyers, I work with buyers that, have that $1 million budget. I work with, so it really depends. It always gets down to the point, as long as you know what you want, and I know that it's realistic and I can get the job done, of course, I'm going to want to work with you.
Awesome. So I definitely want to ask this and put you in the hot seat, right? So can you kind of give me maybe a story about, all right, I'll give you an option. You can give me one of the worst situations you've dealt with in a transaction, or you could give me one of the best situations you've dealt with. Which one?
Okay.
Obviously, I'd prefer to hear the worst.
Okay,
but
you want to hear the worst.
Yes.
Let's do the worst. I can't even really, it's bad because I remember it just being torturous, but at the same time, we ended up closing on it. Okay, so in my second year of real estate, I had a client. She was looking up to $900,000 in Queens Village, and I think this had to have been late 2018. So at the time, that budget was in that area. It was a decent budget.
Absolutely, I was just going to say that was a nice high number.
and it was crazy because even at the time, there wasn't many houses priced in that price point of what the caliber what she was looking for, right? So I ended up finding her this house. It was new construction. Actually, she found the house herself. And she sent it to me. She said, this is the house that I want to see. Let's go take a look at it.
Yeah.
So we saw the house. I knew that there was, the CO still needed to be obtained. Yeah. So with that being said, everything stipulated under contract that they have to obtain the CO prior to closing. We had, certain amount of. This deal took me 9 months to get to the closing table.
Wow.
And in between that time, the seller was insane. He tried to get another deal while we were under contract. He brought that deal to the closing table. He fired, during the process, he got rid of his first attorney. And then he went to another attorney. And then the first attorney actually was at the closing table and then calls us to say, there's another family here that there, and then immediately, obviously, that got canceled.
Yeah.
The next day, I remember the guy showed up at my office, the seller, and I was representing the buyer.
Yeah.
At this point, the listing agent was MIA.
Wow.
The seller was like, I don't even want to work with the listing agent. But he was just, he was crazy. But
that is really so he shows up to your office?
He showed up to my office. I wasn't even there. My office called me. They were like, Kat, we have, X person here. Are you going to come in? Do you have a meeting with them? And I'm like, I don't. And you can tell him that I'm not going to be in today because it's crossed out. And then I emailed the attorneys. I was like, okay, this is getting a little crazy. First he wanted to close with somebody else. We ended up having to get a litigation attorney involved.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it took a long time, but we were able to really problem solve throughout all the issues. And eventually my client got the house.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it ended up really well. It was a very, very bumpy road, but
you stuck it out.
We got it done.
You got it done.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of the things that people don't get to hear about behind the scenes, right? They think real estate is just all this glamorous stuff that they see out there on Netflix and other places and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they think real estate is just this glam life, right?
Yeah.
I go out, I get dressed, I go out, I have a client, we sign a $900,000 deal, and that's it. And
that's it.
I collect, a big check the next day, and we're good, and on to the next, right?
Yes.
And they don't understand that there are deals like this that you have to now be there with your client, through the trenches, getting all this stuff done, just so that they can get the house that they want.
Exactly.
Right?
And at the end of the day, that's always the most important thing. But I feel like people don't really get to see until you're in the process. And then they're like, Kat, we really appreciate what you do. We see the time and effort that has to go in.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Absolutely.
But so, yeah.
And I think, again, for those people that are out there, this is one of the things that makes Kat such an awesome realtor is the attention, the time, the dedication. That to me is such an amazing word, dedication, because you have to understand, you want someone that's going to dedicate themselves to working with you and not just looking at you as just, as I said, a dollar sign of a transaction that you want to just get them in and get them out, right? You're looking to build long-term relationships with long-term families.
Exactly. That's always the key. I want to continue building relationships, keeping the relationships that we build, right? I feel like keeping in contact with people is super important. And thank God for social media. Most of my clients that I work with are on social media. If I don't have them on social media, I try to connect with them on social media.
Okay.
So then afterwards, it's this is not goodbye. It's, we're always going to be communicating, whether it be text, phone calls, getting together. And that's something I always try to do with my clients too.
Do you think that, and I'm glad that you actually touched on that, right? So do you think the way people conduct real estate or they reach out to agents is changing now? You said that most of your clients, they come from social media, right?
Yeah.
So obviously they're seeing the content you're putting out there. So going forward, years to come, do you think that's how more you're going to get your clients, or just in general how clients are going to match themselves up with realtors or professionals?
Yeah, I 100% do think that. I think that whatever presence you put out there about yourself, whatever value you can give to your audience of whoever you have on your social media platform or whatever platform you have, really, that's what's going to attract those people. People want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, and when you put all of that out there, and they can understand how you're getting from point A to Z, how you're combating obstacles, things like that. They're like, okay, you know what? This girl knows what she's talking about. She has been in similar situations. Sometimes I get a lot of clients that are working with agents that they're like, okay, I was working with this agent. I'm not going to give names, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I saw that, you posted something about this, and, we're in a similar situation. Like, can you help us? So,
and obviously one of the things that I think is key is, obviously people are posting a ton of content that are out there, right? But people don't know what to post. Like, some people are just posting all types of things. And so, like, do you think it's absolutely important what you post, the content that you're posting, and the purpose of what you're posting? Do you think like that's really important?
Huge. I think the purpose behind anything is really important. Like, if you're, my social media, it's a mix between personal and professional. I didn't want to split it up, but at the same time, it is more real estate heavy for sure.
Yeah,
but
people get to see who you are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The real you, not like the fluff version, right?
Exactly. So I feel like, it's important to do both. It's important to have a purpose and to have an idea behind what you're posting and what you're providing to your audience.
Yeah. So with everyone that's watching right now, I definitely want you to take a little bit of time and talk about like what you really think differentiates yourself, separates you from, anyone else that's out there. And obviously, like I said, every realtor is different. But I feel like in working with you, you're with a different caliber, a different level, and I want you to kind of convey that to the people that are looking. That could be potential first-time buyers, that can be clients, investors, people that are looking for someone that can really dedicate themselves as an agent and work with them. What would you want them to know about you, and what would you want to say to them?
I think, so what I would want the world to know about me.
Yes.
I would say, like, face value. A lot of times people, they see me and they think that I'm young. They immediately, they're like, okay.
They judge you on that.
They judge me based on, like, okay, she looks like she's young. I get so many times like, oh, are you the real estate agent? Are you old enough to be? And I'm like, okay, I don't look that young. But I feel like, if you were to judge me based on face value, probably not getting the real cat. Yes, I'm young, but yes, I'm aggressive. Yes, I'm a great problem solver. I'm a big, great negotiator as well. So, of course, you have the sweet cat, the nice cat, the patient cat.
But when business is there,
you're also going to get the aggressive cat, the one that's going to negotiate and really fight for you.
And I think that's awesome. And I want to touch on that because, like you said, people kind of judge you in first impressions, right? But like, your track record speaks for itself. Your knowledge speaks for itself. So when people kind of look at that face value and they might judge you, when they have that opportunity to really have a conversation with you, that's where they can see that difference, right? And so too often, and I think that's an important thing that you just said right there, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Don't just look at someone, because I got into the industry when I was 21, and I remember hearing the same thing all the time. People are like, they'll have a conversation on the phone with me, and then they'll see me and they're like, oh, you're a lot younger than I thought, or you're a lot younger than I anticipated, like, are you sure you have knowledge in this area, or you know what you're doing? And it's like, yeah, like, I've closed tons of deals. So like, can I ask you really quickly, like, how do you also feel about people that are like, oh, I've been doing this for like 20 years or 30 years and stuff like that? Like,
oh my God.
Like when sometimes you might conduct business with other realtors and they kind of throw that out there, like, what do you think about that stuff?
Immediately, I'm like, my brain is shutting off, like, seriously, because I just feel like that's, okay, you've been in the business for 20 years, so you think you know it all, but at the same time, like, market shift, things shift. You always have to be, the way that I look at it, I always try to be coachable. So I'm always looking to learn. I don't care if you're younger than me, I don't care if you're older than me, I'm always trying to learn something new. And whoever I can get that information from, of course, I'm gonna listen to it. But yeah, I kind of, when somebody gets on the phone and they're like, listen, I've been doing this for 30 years, like, this is how it's gonna go. And I'm like, okay, well, this is not how it's working right now. Like, this is not gonna be a good fit for this situation. So we have to think
what
differently.
might work 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, is not now. And so you need 100%. Someone that's kind of keeping up with the trends, the market, and really is owning their craft, right?
Exactly.
So awesome. Well, obviously, if you're looking at this, I hope you've really gotten a chance to get to know Kat. I think she's amazing. I've seen her work with her clients. It's funny, again, if you look at her social media, you'll see, she just says it. She's like, upstate, out east, in the boroughs, you name it, she's there, she's working, going above and beyond to get her clients a great deal. And honestly speaking, I would definitely recommend, if you're out there, you're looking for a great realtor, you're looking for a great listing agent, Kat's the person, and make sure you follow her. Again, what's your handle?
At Closing with Kat.
That's right. So, Kat, thank you so much for being a part of the Realtor Spotlight. Definitely, we have a plan to have you back. We're going to be doing another episode.
Excited for that.
You know, next month that they definitely need to stay tuned for. Anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to leave with?
If you are a buyer out there, lock in your rates and give me a call if you want to talk about purchasing or selling in the near future. I'm happy to discuss with you guys.
Awesome. Again, thank you, everyone. Hope you guys got some great content out there, some great information. Kat's amazing. Continue to follow her.